Faking it till we make it.
Daddy.
It's never a bother to be a father.
I'm just sitting here waiting on my next interview. I've been on the phone and texting and looking at the news and everything that's going on. And I have some opinions on it, but I have opinions as a father. One of my family members asked me, had I allowed my kids to see what was going on? And I told them no, and I hadn't even thought about sharing what is going on because my kids are 7, 6, soon to be 5, and 3. And so I didn't think that was appropriate for them to have to see mayhem going on right now. My kids have been a part of protesting and standing up for the rights of others since they've been born. They've been in all kind of fight for your rights and all that, but they were peaceful demonstrations. They was orchestrated, and they were safe. And so I don't want them to see this part of that action at this point in time in their life. I do want them to understand that sometimes you have to take a hard stand, but it has to be for a cause. This looting that is going on, this violent behavior that is going on, that's not a cause that I think they should be looking at this time. But if one day we can have this conversation and we can view footage of it, I do believe that I would want to have this conversation with them, but right now I just don't think this is the age for them to have to. And here's the thing, there's a lot of young people that's caught up in the middle of that right now because of where they stay at and who their family members are. And so this will be another one of those trauma impacts on their lives, right? And so it's sad that a lot of young people don't have the option that my kids have. They have someone who cares about what they view, what they see, what they hear. And I think we as fathers, we have to influence in these early years that which they get, and so that they can build off what they're hearing and seeing. And so I just wanted to elaborate on that because I am totally disturbed as someone who organize and fight for the rights of those that are being mistreated and for the injustice that is served in our communities. But that right there, no, I can't do it, because I have to think about when those folks like Dr. King and all those pioneers had to go through when they were fighting for a cause. They wasn't rioting and looting. They was actually being treated as if they was rioting and looting. And so, yeah, it's tough. It's one of those things we have to deal with, but I keep my faith in God, and I know that He'll work it all out. All right, we got our guest coming in, so let's see what's happening.
Faking it till we make it.
Daddy.
It's never a bother to be a father.
Hear me?
I hear you. I don't see you yet.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I don't see you though.
Hold on. Oh, here we go.
There you go. Let that camera up off you.
That's cool.
There you go. What's going on?
Man, nothing, man. Just out here trying to stay corona free, man.
I know that's right. Hey,
all this stuff going on.
Yeah, I try to tell people I'm 4 feet under already. I know Corona hover above, so I when it buckled down 4 feet under. So, I'm trying to miss it just as well.
Yeah, you already know what it is.
Welcome to another episode of Fathers Faking It Till We Make It. I'm excited to have this guest. This guest is a young father with a whole bunch of kids. I don't know if he's trying to catch up with me. That's fine, because he can pass me if he like. But
three of them, Charles.
I'm excited to have actually a family member. This is my cousin Terrell Ghostin. And so, without further ado, Terrell Ghostin.
And thank you so much, cousin, for having me on here. I'm very excited to be on here. As soon as you called me and told me the idea that you had for this, I was all in. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so let's get right down to it, right? Because you're a young father.
Yes, sir.
And so, first of all, let's talk about who is Terrell Ghostin?
Terrell Ghostin, just like you said, is a father, a lover, a husband, a very well-educated man, very wise, college graduate, got a lot of experience in different areas, all sectors, just all around, just a lovable person that just love to give good energy off everywhere I go in any environment I'm in. Just a good person.
Yeah, I can vouch for that because I remember when I came home and I think you just finished in college, right?
Yeah, I was just finishing college. That was back in, was it 2007?
2008.
Well, I graduated 2007. So you came home, I think, it was around 2008. Because
Yeah.
I remember when I was actually with the White Sox at that time, and it was the following season. So so I've been graduated from Tennessee State. Graduated in 2007. I was a business major. Got my bachelor's in business management, and the rest was history from there.
Yeah, it's just exciting to see, because it's not like it was a long gap in us seeing each other, because I see you when you was born, and then you missed a whole lot while I was away. And so, to see, from the boy to the young man to the man is very exciting to witness that process of you. And it's one of the things I tell a lot of young men when I'm talking to them is that all you have to do is stay focused.
That's all.
Yeah, there's going to be some pit stops and things like that. But if you stay consistent, then everything else work itself out. So tell me about your father. How was it growing up with your father?
Man, Charles, I don't even know where to start, man. My father was a good man. He was my best friend. He was my role model. He taught me so much about life, about, just how to, maneuver in life, just telling me how to read people and how to, adapt to certain situations. Just a very smart, a very smart man. And, the short years that I had here on earth with him, he actually passed away when I was 16. He had pancreatic cancer, but in them 16 years that I had here on earth with him, I learned so much in life that, that I still hold them same principles and morals to this day from what I learned from him, just from, how to treat people, how to love people, loving people for who they are, showing support to your fellow brothers and your fellow sisters, and just being an encourager and just so many good things, man. And since he passed away, Charles, just like I tell you all the time, man, I try to keep that legacy going on, letting it live through me and me show out to the world and to my kids and to my family that, it's okay to be okay. You know, it's okay to be nice and, you know, showing love to everybody, showing love to your peers and everything. Man, I can talk all night about that man, but I love that man. He was my mentor, man. I miss it. Ain't a day that goes by that I don't think about. And I always ask myself, you know, will he be proud of me? And I think, you know, the stuff that I have accomplished in life, just from being a father, a husband, I think he'll be very proud of me, and I try to just keep that legacy going on, and I try to filter it down to my kids, to both my sons and my daughter, and just keeping that family structure and just being a family man that he was, which was very important and something that he stressed the importance of and instilled in us as a little kid, the importance of family and loving family no matter what they're going through, loving them for who they are, no matter what they're going, they can be right, wrong, you still love them. And to this day, I carry that in my heart. And, I just continue the legacy, man.
Yeah, that's true. Your father was something special. I mean, there wasn't a person he met that he didn't like, and
Exactly.
and I don't know of a person who have met him that said they didn't like him.
Yeah, I can't, Charles, to be honest, to this day, I can't think of one either. Everyone that I know, Charles, to be honest, because I'm gonna let everyone know he's also he's a biology teacher for high school, Bloom High School here in Chicago Heights in the south suburbs of Chicago. And just, the relationships that he had with his students, a lot of them grew up in single family parent homes, usually just the mother. And a lot of them kids that he taught, he was actually like a father figure to them because they didn't have the father in their home. And when I was a little kid, we used to go to his basketball games that he used to take us to, the football games and everything. And I always asked him, man, so many people love you. Like I used to always say when I was as a little kid, and I realized as I got older, and I used to run into, some of his students because they'll see my last name, and there ain't too many Ghostons out like in the south suburbs. Do you know a Thomas Ghoston? I'm like, yeah, that's my father. Man, let me tell you about that man. That man was a good man, and yada this, man. He helped me out, when I ain't had lunch money. He spoke life into me and stuff like that. And hearing stuff like that, man, it makes me happy because he was actually out here doing good work for people that actually wasn't his kids, and he was a father figure to so many kids. And that's what that touches me, and that's why I try to keep on with the legacy that he left, try to live through me, to give it out to the world or whatnot, man. So yeah.
So that impact of him being who he was and the touching of life, but and I know because I remember when y'all was small how he would just talk to you, and just like you have conversations that it engulfed the whole family. It wasn't just him and your mother speaking, but it was the whole family. So tell me, how does that work in your household right now?
It works. It definitely, as far as when you said, with the communication, like involving everyone and, just talking to everyone, that's a skill that I learned from him, just observing him, from just watching him over the years. And when I was a little kid, he'll go in the room, or if he just coming to us to speak to us, as a family, how he involved everyone that was in that room into the conversation. So you never felt left out when you was around him. So, and I kind of do it now. It's like if I go in an environment or a room, or, if I'm talking to my family and my kids and I see, someone just off in the cut, just, not necessarily not partaking into, the conversation, you want to make them feel good and include them, because what it is, people want you to make them feel good about themselves. And that's what he always stressed, make people feel good about themselves. And it was a special, like I always say, it was a gift from God that he was blessed to do that, because so many people cannot do that, and I guess studying him and just naturally being around him so long, it just naturally got on me. So I can go in a room, it can be all types of different types of people, from from you can have your corporate executives down to the janitors. I'm gonna bridge that janitor and that CEO corporate guy, and we all gonna mesh together, and we all gonna talk amongst each other like we just good cool people, and just bringing people together. And that's one trait that I always loved about him. And and I learned that, and that's a trait that a lot of people just ain't blessed with. It's a gift from God. And just learning that, it was very, very important. And he was a master at it, Charles, to be honest with you, man. He was a master at doing that.
And so, how old were you when you had your first child?
Oh, how I was. So Ray was born in 2010. So my oldest, he was 10. So I had to be around like 25, 26 when I had him. 25,
And,
26.
and so, that's not as young as most folks, but that's young for real to be
No,
parented.
what? Hey, Charles. Hey, when I say young, yeah, you young. You think shit. You think you old, but at that time, yeah, you young, you
So,
young.
so tell me, what was that like, right? Like, just, of course you happy, you becoming a
Right,
parent. What was
right.
that like experiencing the birth of your first child?
To be honest, I'm gonna walk you through, and I'm just gonna give you the God honest, down to earth truth about the whole process, man. I'm 25 at the time. At the time, I just graduated college. I think I was a year or two out, a few years out of college, and I had a very nice job and everything. And me and my wife, well, she got pregnant at the time at 25. At the time when I found out, I'm just gonna be honest, I was scared. I was scared as hell, man. 25, I'm still thinking I'm young. I kind of don't got life figured out, and I'm just like, man, like, it was times that, you don't want to talk to nobody because you think about, you want to make sure everything is right for your child when you come in, when your child get here. At 25, you don't got it all figured out. But, it took a lot of, talking to my wife now. At that time, we wasn't married. And, I went through a season where I was just like, man, I don't know how this going to happen, because you just don't know the unknown. And, it was a time that, I closed off from everybody. But I think what opened my eyes, Charles, to be honest, and I never talked about this to nobody. What got me out that drought of, just feeling down, like, cause I was scared, man. I was scared. I was scared. When I say scared, I was scared, man. Cause I just didn't know, I'm 25. I don't got, my father passed away. I can't talk to him. And, you want that father talk, in situations like that. But, I seen him, I heard him talking to me through that whole process, as much as people say it might have been crazy, but we was talking during that. He's telling me, boy, you gonna be okay. You gonna be okay. Just, stop worrying about it. Everything will be okay. But what I think what changed it, Charles, was when we had an appointment to go see that first ultrasound, right? And I don't know, it was something about being in that room, man. And I never forget, it was at Mercy Hospital over there on I believe that was 26 in Michigan somewhere, right? And we get to the ultrasound. I'm already like, I'm out of it. Like, I'm this first time. And when she put the thing on the stomach to check the baby to see if everything was okay, everything was good. And she was like, "What you think you have?" And I was like, "Ma'am, I'm just happy to have I'm just happy to have a baby." In the back of my head, I'm like, "Man, I hope it's a boy, right? I'm hoping it's a boy." And she was like, "Well, just want to let you know that you guys are having a boy." And when she said that, man, it opened like my whole attitude, and like the way I was feeling prior to that changed, because I wanted a boy. I wanted a boy, right? And I always said my first child wanted a boy. And I think that was just a blessing from God to tell me that, see, I told you everything was going to be okay. Just, don't worry. I understand that this is your first child. I'm not going to bring you this far to leave you, right? And I think that day of that ultrasound that I went with my wife, I think it was the changing moment, and man, it was just the best, one of the best days of my life, because I'm saying, man, I'm about to have a son, man, I'm about to have a little me, because at the time, Charles, you know, when my father passed, you know, I was 16, I was still in high school, and that hurt me, man. It really hurt me, and the reason why it hurt me, because I felt that, you know, I could have had, like, you know, he was gone too soon. And it was just like, man, I didn't have nobody to have that conversation with when I needed that man, that father, son. But just like it goes back to what I told you earlier, is when you having that, when you were having that, when I was having the conversations with him, and it was just them conversations that just got me through it, man. And that ultrasound changed it for the good. And I was like, man, I can't wait, man. Just like, you know, I just put the principles that I learned from my father and I applied it to me being a father. And everything is working out. It's been working out ever since I had my first one. My oldest is 10. My son is 10. My daughter is 5, and my youngest is 1 now. So, man, it was truly a blessing, man. But you definitely gonna get scared before the first time. But you know, it comes with it. That's just how it is, man. You just want everything to be perfect, but nothing gonna be perfect. You know, just like
And
you said,
that's why I tell people, you know, some people try to pretend like fatherhood, like they got it. Like, we don't have that. Like, that, it's a process. Then when you talk about multiple children, you got
yeah,
multiple personalities. So you have to know each child, right?
yeah,
And you know, but you always got to put on this front is that I got this, right? Even when you don't have it, right?
Yeah. And one thing my father always told me, Charles, he said, it's okay not to be perfect, right? You know, if you don't got it together, it's okay. You know, you can let it be known. The problem is when a lot of, you know, especially my brothers, when I talk about, you know, just my brothers in general, everybody, my brothers and sisters, right? A lot of things, they feel that it has to be perfect. This thing called life ain't perfect. We figuring it out on the go, man. And I think what it is, a lot of people get discouraged because stuff don't work out the way that you thought it and want it to work out, right? But you have to, you just got to, it's a learning process. You constantly learning on the go, man. You know, that's father thing, man. Just like you said, to this day, still learning on the go. I don't got it all figured out, but one thing I can say, we happy though. We figuring this thing out. You see what I'm saying? We happy though. You know, and it's okay to say, you know, all right, you know, if you need help, my father always said, if you need help, reach out and ask somebody. You know, they might have the questions that you looking for. The thing is, in our generation, I think the thing is, a lot of men, or you know, some women, they scared to ask when they need help. You see what I'm saying? Or advice. That's why I'm always giving out advice, man, bro. You know, you gonna be good, man. Don't worry about it, man. Everything gonna be good, man. You'll be all right. You're gonna get through this, man. And that's why I try to advocate all the time, man. You know, stop stressing out about it, man. I know there's a lot of stuff going on, but you know, it's gonna work out for the good, man.
Yeah, that's so important, right? That's really important that we encourage one another, right?
Right.
Especially in fatherhood, you know, because right now it's tough for fathers. You know, there's a lot of discords within men and women relationships, and then a lot of men just have not stepped up to the plate.
Yeah.
And with that not happening, that has caused a lot of confusion, right? That's caused a lot of confusion. And you know, like I always tell people, is that it's easier for some men just to shake that responsibility, right? Because they're scared. Like you said, you're scared. And most of them are afraid, and they don't know how to ask. They don't ask, but they don't even admit to their partner, hey, I don't know what I'm going to do. You know, because sometimes, and probably most of the time, that's what you have a partner for, right? To lean on, right? And say, hey, I don't, you know, I'm trying to figure this thing out. Give me a minute or something. But most of them run and get caught up into something else. I had a guest I spoke to previously, and he said he would go and bring a couple of jogging suits, gym shoes, and some money. He said, because I was still an adolescent.
Yeah.
And he said he was selfish because he was trying to take care of him. And those kids, he just didn't understand it, right? And that's when you know that when you're able to admit that you did not know, that's when the healing starts, right? Or even admitting that I'm scared. See, that's the beginning of the healing of the process.
Yeah, it really is. And it's a good point that you made that up. And the reason why I think that, Charles, my father always said, you don't never look at someone's issue from face value. You got to look at the nucleus of why they acting out or the way they are. You see what I'm saying? If somebody just acting out or they just stuck in their ways or, their personality ain't, of the part of society, labeling them as, all types of, thugs, whatever, they no good this, no good that. You got to look at the nucleus of it, right? He always say, look at the nucleus of it. Sometimes you got to look at why is the reason why that person is like that. Sometimes you got to go as far as back as their childhood, right? And sometimes, the reason why, we talking about fatherhood, how a lot of them just, just take they self away from the family dynamic of everything because they scared. The reason why they're like that, some of them like that, is because they didn't have that father figure in the house. And that's sometimes, that's when you get the feeling of being neglected. So, you feel like people don't love you because father said that he was going to come pick you up. Father didn't come pick you up. And you grow up into your adulthood not trusting nobody, not loving nobody, and it lingers on into relationships that you have, right? Because of issues that you had to deal with when you was coming up as a kid that never got settled, right? That never got settled, and you take that into your adulthood. Now you got issues that needed to be resolved, talked about, that needed to be taken care of as a kid, and it's going into your adulthood. And that's why I always say I never look at, well, he's such a bad father, or this such as this, that, this. No, you guys see what was his family dynamic as him growing up. Now you'll understand why such is like that. But sometimes, a lot of people, they don't use that as a crutch. Some of them use it as motivation to be like, all right, I'm finna have my family. I'm not saying to use it as an excuse, but I always look at the nucleus of it. And if it's a problem, you try to help them, say, like, look here, man, this is what it is. It ain't like that. You just share your testimony. You see what I'm saying? Because that testimony, you will never understand how much it can bless somebody. Like other people, when they share their stories, it blessed me because sometimes I be like, damn, like, why was I worrying about that at that time like that? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's so important to that you said that, is because we see a bad father or someone who is labeled a bad father, and we don't know that he most likely came from a bad father. Because some of that be passed down. Fathers who leave the family dynamic because they father left, right? And they see it as part of the way of life, and so you're right. We can't look at them like that. That's partially why we're doing this right here, because there are a lot of men that have been misled and taught badly, and so they behave that way. And so now we're trying to get this conversation brewing so that when men see men who saying, man, I was afraid, I was scared, I failed, I left, but I came back, I finally grew into it. I had a role of responsibility. And what we've had so far on this show is all of that. Like fathers telling, man, I was gone. Like I was gone, or I didn't have a father, so I was looking for it in all the wrong places. And so I kept coming up with bad images, and that's what happens. But the thing that, and you said it, because you said it earlier, you said, I could not, or I was afraid and I didn't have no one to ask. Right. And the one you wanted to ask was no longer here.
Yep.
And so you
Yeah.
shut down,
I
and
shut down. Yep.
and it took hearing the voice of your father.
Yep.
And that's the replaying of those messages that he was ingrained in you. And see,
Yep.
that's what we have to do. Like I tell everybody, I was fortunate enough to have two fathers, but neither one of them ever told me they loved me. Right. And so when I was away, I thought about what I didn't get. I thought about what might have could have helped me take a different route. And so what I always do with my kids is I'm screaming, we love each other 3-4 times a day,
hey,
right?
look here, Charles. We doing it 1,000 times up in here, man.
Yeah.
We might be doing it more than 1,000 times in this household, man. I'm telling you that them 3 words, I love you, man. You don't understand that thing is something powerful, especially to kids growing up, man. Like they need that, man, especially in the world that we live in now today. These kids need love, man. That's what they need. That's at the end of the day, these kids just want somebody that show that they care for them and they love them, man. And it's important, just like you said, that we constantly tell these kids, tell the wives, tell your significant others, I love you, I appreciate you, man, because you understand that does a lot to these kids, man. They need them, man.
I can tell you from just saying it to my kids how the interaction is so much different. Like,
definitely.
they look, it's like they know this, but now it's approved, right? It's like it's certified. It's like USDA, certified. Right? It's stamped with approval that you love me, and so there's no fear to come to you. And see, that's what happens when your kids know that you love them. See, they never fearful to come to you with something. Even no matter how bad it is, they want it because they feel safe in your presence.
Exactly.
And people don't understand. Like I tell people, I never knew, I thought about, the word I love you and this and that.
You thought it was just a saying. You thought it was just a saying, but
no, I know. I knew it was a saying, but I knew it was a saying that wasn't said to me.
Oh, okay,
and so I know how powerful it was. And then, because like my biological father, I remember the first time I told him I love you, it like choked me. He didn't know, he couldn't even respond.
But you gotta understand, Charles, like, and I had this conversation with friends as well, because they always tell me, man, I loved your father, man. He was a father figure to me when my father wasn't around, and they tell me these stories all the time and how much they miss him. And during that era, like our father's generation, you got to understand, it goes back to seeing what the nucleus was, right? A lot of our father's generation growing up, a lot of them came from the South and stuff. They grew up in an era that, their fathers or their mothers, it wasn't, well, the fathers in the house didn't show that they love they kids, but they didn't necessarily say it. You understand what I'm saying? And it was one of the things that they felt as if, all right, you got to be macho. You got to be macho, man. Like, it ain't none of the time for all that sensitive stuff. Go on somewhere with all that I love you stuff. But that was just the era that they lived in, right? Don't cry, be a man. That's the worst advice that you can ever tell a child, because, that's how you got so many people, young men of color, that's messed up. They got so much stuff that's built up inside of them, and they was always told, be a man, don't cry. You gotta let that thing out, man, because what it is, that built up frustration, you can only keep that in your system for so long before you explode. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of guys, especially my age and our generation, they was raised up, man, you macho, man, we don't got time for whatever you going through. You'll get it. That's the worst advice you can tell somebody, because they're going to take that, just like I said, take it into their adulthood, and it's like a walking ticking bomb. And unfortunately, that's what you see where, a lot of our brothers that's incarcerated, a lot of them are good men, man. They good men. It's just, it was just that chicken bomb. They just explode, man. You can only have that built up in you for so long before you just snap, man.
Yeah, it is so important to recognize that when people start recognizing. That's why I say even in today, what we're going through now, and yeah, let me lead to that. So as a father, as a young father, and everything that's going on, first we had the COVID-19, and now we have the police taking the life from a young African-American male, and now we have this disruption of all across the country. Earlier, someone asked me, have you been sharing this with your kids? And I said, no, I haven't. I say for a couple of reasons. One, I don't think they need to be seeing this. And everybody know, my kids been protesting since they've been born. They've been right out there in one movement or another. But this here it started out right. It just has taken a wrong turn. And we have so much. A lot of that is that built up frustration you're talking about. When you see young men running in stores, knocking out windows, setting cars ablaze. There's a lot of anger, frustration, and then a lot of hurt. And so, when you look at them, because you have two groups there. You have a group that's protesting and marching for the call. And then there's another group that's there just because. And so you have these two images. For you as a young father with 3 children, how do you see what's happening and how do you view it for your children?
Man, Charles, you'll be amazed. I didn't have so many conversations via text, phone conversation with friends and everything. My brothers from college, my best friends that I grew up with. We living in some interesting times, man. Just all the social injustice going on, man. We definitely living in some times. My father always taught me, growing up, show respect to everyone, right? And another thing that he always said, whenever you encounter and come in contact with a police officer, never talk. You can be very respectful, but just never talk to him, right? And as I got older, I always wondered why he said that. But I got attorney friends, and they always tell me to say the same. They always advise don't talk to the police, because what it is, the more you talk when you encounter with them, is more the situation can escalate from 0 to 100 real quick, right? You try to, I'm a type of person, I try to de-escalate any type of situation. If I see something going on, I try to de-escalate as much as I can. I'm not just jumping into everything. I'm just, don't get into it. I'm just not, but, especially if it's coming in contact with a police officer. I think what it is just like, it's just a lot of emotions that that's involved with, our brothers, because just like you said, for so long we've been treated misfairly, and it's just, they get into a breaking point, man. And it's just like, you cannot keep on doing this to us and expect, everybody just to be cool. Just like I said, it's a ticking bomb, like you just gonna explode. And it's just like, everybody can't deal with certain situations how I can deal with it, like how I can probably de-escalate a situation. With all due respect, officer, I'm just not discussing my day. Just leave it at that. You beat them in the court. You see what I'm saying? Like, you would never win with them out there on the street. You see what I'm saying? And it's just like, it's so much, man. I be telling them all the time, like, if I'm driving on the side of the road and one of them get pulled on stop, man, just don't say nothing, man. Just whatever, man. It's just like, and then with my kids, I'm gonna have to tell you that I agree to disagree with you. Like, I show my kids what's going on, and the reason why I say that is because I want them to see and learn what we have to go through. The African American man had to go through, or just the injustice that's going on across the country. See what we got to go through, and I tell them, like, all right, you see what we see the protesting on the TV. It's a lot of peaceful protesting out there, and then you got a few bad apples that's out there just going crazy with it. You know, it's a way to do it. You know, you you protest respectfully, get your word out, because just like I said, intelligence beat a lot of stuff. You see what I'm saying? When somebody see that you're intelligent, they ain't gonna mess with you, man. To be honest with you, and it's just like, you know, we try to show them, all right, this is what you don't do. And, you know, if you encounter this, this is what you should do. Because you don't never want them to get older and get in a situation and they just don't know how to react to it. And, you know, they just freeze up. And it's just like, you know, we try to teach them, you know, how to interact or whatnot, man. But, man, we live in some times, man. And people frustrated, Charles, man. And I see and I feel the frustration. There's been plenty of times where, you know, I got profiled. You know, I went to school in Tennessee, and, you know, coming from Chicago, you know, I was a freshman. Well, on my all 4 years, you know, I had a car. You know, I was blessed enough to have a car, so I used to drive back and forth from Chicago down to Nashville, Tennessee. You know, a young black man with, you know, a bubble Chevy driving down 65. I couldn't tell you how many times I got pulled over, harassed, and everything. But each time that I got pulled over, Charles, I held my composure. I was respectful, and I didn't say nothing. With all due respect, I'm not discussing my day. Like, I'm just, you know, and you do that, and they have a respect for you. But I can tell you the countless of times that, you know, I've been profiled, man. I got a bubble Chevy with tinted windows back in 2003, black man driving down 65 South going to Nashville to go to school. Coming
Yeah,
home,
but
breaks, and
also remember them blue lights didn't help you either.
oh no, man. You know, I had to check. You know, that was my dream car, Charles, man. You know,
I know.
I always wanted the bubble Chevy, man. You know, because you can't never go wrong with a bubble Chevy, and, you know, every time I went to school, man, I got, you know, each time I got pulled out, I never got a ticket though, and they just let me go about my way, man. But bubble Chevy with tinted windows, dark tinted, with limo tint, riding down the road on 65. I'm talking about through Kentucky, Tennessee, everywhere. But, you know, it was the way that I handled the situation when it came to me, you know, and a lot of people, you know, not fortunate that have that patience to be able to do that, and I truly understand that. And you know, just like you said, man, you'll never win with them on the street, man.
Yeah, and you're right. And it's how you conduct yourself. And even though
Yeah,
you can conduct yourself in the proper way, sometimes it still goes bad, but it
yeah,
goes
it
bad
does.
less if you conduct yourself properly.
Yeah,
And I do agree with you with the sharing of this information, but right now it's just too fresh. It's too
yeah,
much. It's just too
yeah,
much going on. We ain't even got nowhere near putting a lid on this, right? The worst
yeah,
is still to come right now, because
yeah,
I mean, they just shut the whole city down and all the surrounding suburbs, right?
right.
And so they locking this down, and this is really a tough time for us as people. And me as an organizer, and I've been
Uh,
on the phone and Zooming folks all day about what's next for those of us who just organize for the injustices, right? And it
right.
comes down to this, is that we have to, first of all, get on the same page. And
Yeah,
what does
that's
that
the
mean? That means we have to make sure whoever's in the crowd with us, that the same message is being articulated, right? We're here
right,
for a reason. We're here
right.
for a cause. We're not here to do this. And that way, people will understand it, but then they'll start to see who's not there, and share that with the other folks, so somebody
Yeah,
can get down there as you talk. It's a ticking
yeah,
time bomb. But just like any time bomb, it can be deactivated if the
right.
right person and the right words are sent. And
Yeah,
for this all to calm down, there's going to take folks to get in the midst of it to slow it down, you know,
right.
because in reality, law enforcement can let us just tire ourselves out, right? You know,
Yeah,
because there's only so many buildings you can break into and so many you can rob in your community. And if
right.
they start taking that away, that happens. But you're right. We're in some strange times. You go from a pandemic to an epidemic,
right.
because that's
And
what this is.
yeah, it is, and it's man, it's so sad because just like I told you, man, folks is upset, man, and I feel the frustration, and you see it, man. When you got kids that you got to raise, you thinking about their well being, and it's just sad, man. And one thing I like is how you see so many different races coming together that's actually seeing the injustice that's being done, to our people or whatnot, and people coming together as one to speak up about it and raise their voice about it, because at the end of the day, right is right, Charles, and wrong is wrong. And the stuff that we seen, that video that we seen that happened up in Minnesota, that just wasn't right, man. That just wasn't right. That hurt me to my core, man. And that was just, I think that was just the time that it's just like people said enough was enough, man.
Let me ask you another question. So, a father of a 10-year-old son,
Mm-hmm.
how does all this make you feel?
To be honest, you do feel concerned. You do feel concerned, but it goes back to, if you prepare and teach them as a young kid, it goes back to when I told you we're looking at the news or the breaking news together, and we explaining, me and my wife explaining what to do in certain situations, or what to do if you encounter a police. And when you do that, the more and more you do that, right, you start to feel comfortable about, as they get older, to where when they you feel comfortable as when they get older, to when they out on their own, you felt that you taught them long enough and instilled in them long enough to where they out there on their own, they should be good, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes sense. But I will tell you this. My phone was ringing off the hook earlier because my mother was calling to see if I was out in the street, right?
Oh, yeah, she told me.
Yeah, and I was working, so I didn't answer. So she called it everywhere. Have you heard? Have you seen it? But she knows the work I do. But like I said, this is a time for us to strategize how we go about this, and because when the dust settles and the smoke clear, that's when the real work gonna begin. Because there's no more of that behavior. Now you have to come in and address the trauma folks have been impacted with.
And I think the way you do that, Charles, I think what it is, just like you said, it's about everyone coming together. Organizations coming together. It's not necessarily, the problem is you got so many people having their own thing instead of everyone coming together for a unified cause, togetherness. We gonna fight this together. And now what we're seeing, people is actually coming together. You got all different types of nationalities, but organizations start coming together, using their resources, using the power that they have, and actually being out there and speaking up to offer the change and the different things that they want and demand. You'll start seeing stuff change and whatnot. But with this latest thing up in Minnesota, I think you're gonna see a lot of stuff changing. I hope and pray, man. I hope and pray. I've seen police officers. I just seen a lot of them supporting the people, kneeling by taking a knee, putting their weapons down, telling them that they in solidarity, supporting them as well.
Yeah. And that's important, because it can't be us against them and them against us. It's got to be all of us working in conjunction with one another. Right. And so, we definitely will keep our prayers up for it. Like I said, definitely do our part to be in the mix of it when we have a role to play where everybody is coming together. And it's going to take some work there, just getting everybody on the same page. But you know, one thing about it, you know, and it's just like when the COVID-19 virus came, there's gonna be some people who don't make it, but here's the thing: you have to continue to have faith and trust. You know?
That's all you. That's just at the end of the day, man. That you gotta stand on that faith, man, and that's what got me through a lot of stuff in life, and yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on, but just stand on that faith and you keep fighting, man. And it's just like I said, we living in some times, but you gotta be strong out here, man. You definitely gotta be strong out here, and now you know it hurts my heart seeing, you know, our people hurting, man. You know, you see the images, but one thing I love, to be honest, how you seeing so many people come together fighting a cause that needs to be taken care of. That's what I love, you know.
And
that's
always the key, right? That's the key right there. Connecting, stand together, stand focused, and being on one accord. All right, so one of the things this is, because this is not just a conversation and then we all go, what happens, or would you be available? Say some young man seen your episode and was like, man, I would really like to talk to Terrell. I think he could help me out. Would you be open to that?
Man, I'm always open to it. Hey, look here, Charles. You know me, man. I'm calling folks. I told my wife the other day, she had to tell me, like, you always call it. Well, she said, because, you know, I don't call. I FaceTime people. Like, what up? How you doing? You know, I'm all 9 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock. Hey, how you doing? I'm just checking up on you, see how you doing. And I'm doing that to friends, old colleagues that I used to work with, man. I'm doing it to everybody because I really truly care about my people, and you know, I just love genuinely just love showing love and just support, man, because at the end of the day, a lot of people dealing with stuff that they just not talking about or want to, you know, discuss. But you got to break that glass, man. What's going on, man? I know you're not right, man. Let's talk. I do it with my homies all the time. I do it with my friends all the time. I do it with my sister. I do it with everybody. Something not right. What's going on? And you usually break that glass with them, man. You know, they'll call you back 2 or 3 days later. Man, I appreciate that talk. I'm always down for it.
All right. Well, we definitely hope to pair you with someone. Before we go, you got any questions for me?
Man, to be honest with you, Charles, man, I just want to say that, you know, ever since you came home, I tell you all the time, man, you've been doing so much good out in the community, man. God just got his hands on you, man. You doing so much good work, and a lot of stuff people don't see behind the scenes, all the hard work, hard labor that you put into the community. Man, that's definitely applaudable, and man, just keep it up, man. I know at times, you know, you see it might not be like, man, what's is it working? Just know that it's working. You definitely get into a lot of people, man, especially the youth. So keep it up, man. You know, I'm behind you 100%. I love you, man. And just like I said, ever since you came home, man, I don't even think you sat down or slept for a full night of rest for 8 hours straight, man. That's how hard you've been going, brother.
Well, I have been doing that, but Corona gave me a little time.
Yeah, Corona gave, everybody a little time, but you know,
So
you know what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, but yeah, it is a blessing, right? Because a lot of my thought process over the years was, how do I give back, you know, and not in a swapping give back, you know, because some people they give, then they want to get something in return.
Right.
But you know, I believe I had taken enough up to that point that, you know, I had plenty to give, and so I love doing that. And you know, I think that's part of our DNA as well, right?
Yeah.
But hey, I appreciate you, man.
Man, I appreciate you.
Go. Finish off your day.
Hey, look here, I love you, man. And just like I said, man, if it's anything that I can ever do, man, you know I'm a phone call away, Charles. And just like I said, man, taking this, we still learning on the go, baby. Hey,
That's
look,
right.
we don't got. Hey, we both don't got it all figured out, but we learning on the go, and that's
Long
the
as you
best
stay in
thing.
the game, right?
As long as you stay in the game and keep rolling, you good. You know,
Yeah. All
you
right.
know what? All right, then, man. I
I
love you, man.
appreciate you, man.
No problem. I'll talk to you later, brother.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
All right. And so that's another episode of Fathers Faking It Till We Make It. That was my guest, Terrell Ghostin, family member and someone I'm very proud of. So until our next show, which is tomorrow, look forward to seeing you. Have a great night. Peace.
Faking it till we make it.
Daddy, Daddy.
It's never a bother to be a father.